organizer asked that we use the cheapest transportation.
主催者は私
We use the cheapizer. The organizer asked that we use the cheapest transportation. Cheapizer. The organizer asked that we use the cheapest transportation. Cheapizer. The organizer asked that we use the cheapest transportation. Organizer asked that we use the organizer asked that we the organizer asked that we the organizer asked that we use the cheapest asked that we the organizer asked that we use the cheapest transportation. The organizer asked that we use the cheapest transportation. The organizer asked that we use the cheapest transportation. The organizer asked that we use the cheapest transportation. The organizer asked that we use the cheapest transportation. The organizer asked that we use the cheapest transportation. Pizza asked. The organizer asked that we use the cheapest transportation. The organizer asked that we use the cheapest transportation. Asked. The organizer asked that we use the cheapest transportation. The organizer asked that we use the cheapest transportation. The organizer asked that we use the cheapest transportation. The organizer asked that we use the cheapest transportation. The organizer asked that we use the cheapest transportation. That we the organizer asked that we use the cheapest transportation.
Transportation.
The organizer asked that we use the cheapest transportation. Asked. The organizer asked that we use the cheapest transportation. Asked that we the organizer asked that we use the cheapest transportation. The organizer asked that we use the cheapest transportation. The organizer asked that we use the cheapest transportation. The organizer asked that we use the cheapest transportation. The organizer asked that we use the cheapest transportation. The organizer asked that we use the cheapest transportation. The organizer asked that we use the cheapest transportation. Organizer asked that we use the cheapest transportation. The organizer asked that we use the cheapest transportation.
The organizer asked that we use the cheapest transportation. The organizer asked that we use the cheapest transportation. The organizer asked that we use the cheapest transportation. The organizer asked that we use the cheapest transportation. The organizer asked that we use the cheapest transportation. The organizer asked that we use the cheapest transportation. The organizer asked that we use the cheapest transportation. The organizer asked that we use the cheapest transportation. The organizer asked that we use the cheapest transportation. The organizer asked that we use the cheapest transportation. The organizer asked that we use the cheapest transportation. The organizer asked that we use the cheapest transportation. The organizer asked that we use the cheapest transportation. The organizer asked that we use the cheapest transportation. The organizer asked that we use the cheapest transportation. The organizer asked that we use the cheapest transportation. The organizer asked that we use the cheapest transportation. The organizer asked that we use the cheapest transportation.
Organizer asked that the organizer asked that we use the transportation. The organizer asked that we use the cheapest transport. That we use the cheapest. Asked that we use the cheapest transportation.
Cheapest transportation. The organizer asked that we use the cheapest transportation. The organizer asked that we use the cheapest transportation. The organizer asked that we use the cheapest transportation. The organizer asked that we use the cheapest transportation. The organizer asked that we use the cheapest transportation. We use the cheapest transportation. The organizer asked that we use the cheapest transportation. The organizer asked that we use the cheapest transportation.
Use the cheap.
本来だったら we have to とか we should の方がしっくりくるけど。
通期間 transportation
Transportation.
The
The
organizer
organizer
asked that we
asked
use
that
the
we
cheapest
use the cheapest
transportation.
transportation. The organizer asked that we use the cheapest transportation. The organizer asked that we use the cheapest transportation. The organizer asked that we use the cheapest transportation. The organizer asked that we use the cheapest transportation. The organizer asked that we use the cheapest transportation. The organizer asked that we use the cheapest transportation. The organizer asked that we use the cheapest transportation. The organizer asked that we use the cheapest transportation. The organizer asked that we use the cheapest transportation. The organizer asked that we use the cheapest transportation. The organizer asked that we use the cheapest transportation. The organizer asked that we use the cheapest transportation. The organizer asked that we use the cheapest transportation. The organizer asked that we use the cheapest transportation. The organizer asked that we use the cheapest transportation. The organizer asked that we use the cheapest transportation.
主催者は私たちに最も安い交通機関を使うよう求めました。Fare
Fair,
運賃
Fair.
fair, fair,
Bus fares will be 運賃
Fair.
fair.
Bus fares will be raised due to increasing fuel
Increasing fuel prices.
Fares will be Bus fares will be raised due to increasing fuel prices.
Fuel prices.
Fares will be raised due to increasing fuel
fuel
prices.
prices.
Fair.
Fair.
Bus fares will be raised due to increasing fuel prices.
Increasing fuel price. バスに座がついてないのは全部のバスっていうことだ。
運賃
Fair.
Fair. Fair.
Bus fares will Fair
Fair.
運賃
Fair.
Fair.
Bus fares will be raised due to increasing fuel prices.
Increasing fuel
燃料
prices.
価格 is due to Bus fares will
Bus
be raised
fares
due
will
to
be
increasing
raised
fuel
due to
prices.
increase fuel
燃
price.
料 raised Bus fares will be raised due to increasing fuel prices.
Increasing fuel price.
燃料価格
Prices.
due to bus fares
Bus
will be raised
fares
due
will
to
be raised
increasing
due
fuel
to
prices.
increasing fuel prices.
燃料 raised. Bus fares
Bus
will be raised
fares
due
will
to
be raised
increasing
due
fuel
to
prices.
increasing fuel prices.
燃料 will be raised due. Bus fares will
Bus
be
fares
raised due
will be
to
raised due
increasing
to
fuel
increasing fuel prices.
Bus fares will be. Bus fares
Bus
will be
fares
raised
will
due
be
to
raised
increasing
due
fuel
to
prices.
increasing fuel prices.
燃will be raised. Bus fares
Bus
will be
fares
raised
will
due
be
to
raised
increasing fuel
due to
prices.
increasing fares.
Fares will be raised due to
Due to
increasing fuel
increasing
prices.
fuel prices.
燃料価格
Fuel
高騰のせいで
fuel
バス
prices.
価格高
Fuel prices.
Fares will be raised. Bus
Bus
fares will be
fares
raised
will
due
be
to
raised
increasing
due
fuel
to
prices.
increasing fuel prices.
燃料 will be raised. Bus fares
Bus
will be
fares
raised
will
due
be
to
raised
increasing
due
fuel
to
prices.
increasing fuel
燃
prices.
料 will be raised. Bus fares
Bus
will be
fares
raised due
will
to
be raised
increasing
due to
fuel prices.
increasing fuel prices.
燃料 will be. Bus fares
Bus
will be
fares
raised
will
due
be
to
raised
increasing
due
fuel
to
prices.
increasing fuel prices.
燃料 will be raised. Bus
Bus
fares will be
fares
raised
will
due
be
to
raised
increasing
due
fuel
to increasing
prices.
fuel prices.
Next will be. Bus
Bus
fares will be
fares will
raised
be
due to
raised due
increasing
to
fuel
increasing
prices.
fuel prices.
Fares will. Bus fares
Bus
will be
fares
raised
will
due
be
to
raised
increasing
due
fuel
to
prices.
increasing fuel prices.
燃料 will be raised. Bus
Bus
fares will be
fares
raised
will
due to
be raised
increasing
due
fuel
to
prices.
increasing fuel prices.
燃料 Bus
Bus
fares will be
fares
raised
will
due
be
to
raised
increasing
due
fuel
to
prices.
increasing fuel
燃
prices.
料 will be raised.
Fuel
Bus fares will be raised due to increasing fuel prices.
fuel
To
prices.
increasing fuel prices.
Fuel prices. Fuel prices. Fuel prices.
Is due to increasing fuel prices.
Fuel prices. Fuel prices. Fuel 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 prices. Fuel prices.
Due to increasing fuel prices.
Fuel prices.
Increasing fuel prices.
Fuel prices. Fuel prices.
Bus fares
Bus
will be
fares
raised
will
due
be
to
due to
increasing fuel
increasing
prices.
fuel prices.
Then you'll be raised. Bus
Bus
fares will be
fares
raised
will
due
be
to
raised
increasing
due
fuel
to
prices.
increasing fuel
Then
prices.
you'll be raised. Bus fares
Bus
will be
fares
raised
will
due
be
to
raised
increasing fuel
increasing
prices.
fuel
Then
prices.
you'll be raised. Bus
Bus
fares will be
fares
raised
will
due
be
to
raised
increasing
due
fuel
to
prices.
increasing fuel
燃料価格
prices.
due to bus fares
Bus
will be
fares
raised
will
due to
be raised
increasing
due
fuel
to
prices.
increasing fuel
燃料
prices.
価格 raised due to increasing fuel prices.
Fuel prices.
Increasing fuel prices.
Fuel prices.
Increasing fuel
Increasing
prices.
fuel prices.
Fares will be raised due to increasing fuel
Increasing
prices.
fuel prices.
Fair.
運賃
Fair.
Fair.
Bus
Bus
fares will be
fares
raised
will
due
be
to
raised
increasing
due
fuel
to
prices.
increasing fuel prices.
Net will be raised. Bus fares
Bus
will be
fares
raised
will
due
be
to
raised
increasing
due
fuel
to
prices.
increasing fuel
燃
prices.
料価格 raised. Bus fares
Bus
will be
fares
raised
will
due to
be raised
increasing
due
fuel
to
prices.
increasing fuel
燃
prices.
料 raised. Bus fares
Bus
will be
fares
raised
will
due
be
to
raised
increasing
due to
fuel
increasing
prices.
fuel prices.
Next will be raised. Bus
Bus
fares will be
fares
raised
will
due
be
to
raised due
increasing
to
fuel
increasing
prices.
fuel prices.
Next will be raised. Bus fares
Bus
will be
fares
raised
will
due
be
to
raised
increasing
due to
fuel
increasing
prices.
fuel prices.
This will be. Bus
Bus
fares will be
fares
raised
will
due
be
to
raised
increasing
due
fuel
to
prices.
increasing fuel prices.
燃料 will be raised due. Bus
Bus
fares will be
fares
raised
will be
due to
raised due
increasing
to
fuel
increasing
prices.
fuel prices.
燃料 will be raised. Bus
Bus
fares will be
fares
raised
will
due
be
to
raised
increasing
due to
fuel
increasing
prices.
fuel prices.
Ne-
Bus fares will be raised will be raised.
The fuel price is due to bus fares will be raised due to increased fares will be raised due
raise D が欠落してるねこれね。
bus fares will be raised due to increasing
due
fuel
to
prices.
increasing fuel prices. Bus fares will be raised due to increasing fuel prices. Bus fares will be raised due to increasing fuel prices. Bus fares will be raised due to increasing fuel prices. Bus fares will be raised due to increasing fuel prices. Bus fares will be raised due to increasing fuel prices. Bus fares will be raised due to increasing fuel prices. Bus fares will be raised due to increasing fuel prices. Bus fares will be raised due to increasing fuel prices. Bus fares will be raised due to increasing fuel prices. Bus fares will be raised due to increasing fuel prices. Fuel prices. Bus fares will be raised due to increasing fuel prices. Fuel prices. Bus fares will be raised due to increasing fuel prices. Bus fares will be raised due to increasing fuel prices. Bus fares will be raised due to increasing fuel prices. Bus fares will be raised due to increasing fuel prices. Bus fares will be raised due to increasing fuel prices. Bus fares will be raised due to increasing fuel prices. Bus fares will be raised due to increasing fuel prices. Bus fares will be raised due to increasing fuel prices. Bus fares will be raised due to increasing fuel prices. Bus fares will be raised due to increasing fuel prices. Bus fares will be raised due to increasing fuel prices. Bus fares will be raised due to increasing fuel prices.
This will be raised due to increasing bus fares will be raised due to increasing fuel prices.
Due to increasing fuel prices. Bus fares will be raised due to increasing fuel prices. Bus fares will be raised due to increasing fuel prices. Bus fares will be raised due to increasing fuel prices. Raise.ね、あえて rise 使えばいいんだね。なんで rise 使わないんだろう。あえて他動詞の raise を自動手で使ってる意味が知りたい。
Bus fares will be raised due to increasing fuel prices.
Bus fares will be raised due to increasing fuel prices. raise の自動体だと誰かが引き上げてるってイメージがあるのか。Bus fares will be raised due to increasing fuel prices. Okay. Bus fares will be raised. Bus fares will be raised due to increasing fuel prices. Bus fares will be increased. Bus fares will be raised due to increasing fuel prices. Bus fares will be raised due to increasing fuel prices. Bus fares will be raised due to increasing fuel prices. Bus fares will be raised due to increasing fuel prices. Bus fares will be raised due to increasing fuel prices. Bus fares will be raised due to increasing fuel prices. Bus fares will be raised due to increasing fuel prices. Bus fares will be raised due to increasing fuel prices. Bus fares will be raised due to increasing fuel prices. Bus fares will be raised due to increase in fuel prices. Bus fares will be raised due to increase in fuel prices. Bus fares will be raised due to increase in fuel prices. Bus fares will be raised due to increase in fuel prices. Bus fares will be raised due to increase in fuel prices.
燃料価格
Bus fares will be raised due to increasing fuel prices.
燃料価格高騰のせいでバス運賃は値上げされるでしょう。
Miss.
ミス
に乗り遅れる。
Miss.
ミス
The inspectors took a taxi as they had missed the 9:30 train.
missed the
警察
9:30
官た
train.
ちは
As they had the inspectors took a taxi as they had missed the 9:30 train. 9:30 train as they had missed the 9:30 as they had missed took a taxi as they had missed the 9:30
Missed.
train.
Missed.
Had missed the 9:30 train.
missed 微妙に
警
それ
察官たちは9時半の列車に乗り遅れたのでタクシーに乗りました。
Reliable.
信頼に乗りました。
Reliable.
9時半の列車に乗る
The taxi as they had inspectors took a taxi as they had missed the 9:30 train.
警察官たちは9時半の列車に乗り遅れたのでタクシーに乗りました。
Inspectors took a taxi as the
Miss.
The inspectors took a taxi as they had missed the 9:30 train.
警察官た
As they had inspectors took the inspectors took a taxi as they had missed the 9:30 train.
警察官たちは
The inspectors took a taxi as they had missed the 9:30 train.
警察官
As the inspectors took a taxi as they had missed the 9:30 train.
警察官た
The inspectors took a taxi as they had missed the 9:30 train.
警察官
As the inspectors took a taxi as they had missed the 9:30 train.
警察官
The inspectors took a taxi as they had missed the 9:30 train.
警察官
As the inspectors took a taxi as they had missed the 9:30 train. Took a taxi as they had inspectors. The inspectors took a taxi as they had missed the 9:30 train. Took a taxi as they had missed. Took a taxi. The inspectors took a taxi as they had missed the 9:30 train.
警察官たち
The inspectors took a taxi as they had missed the 9:30 train. Took a taxi. The inspectors took a taxi as they had missed the 9:30 train. 9:30 as the inspectors took a taxi as they had missed the 9:30 train. The inspectors took a taxi as they had missed the 9:30 train. Taxi. The inspectors took a taxi as they had missed the 9:30 train. The inspectors took a taxi as they had missed the 9:30 train. The inspectors took a taxi as they had missed the 9:30 train. The inspectors took a taxi as they had missed the 9:30 train. The inspectors took a taxi as they had missed the 9:30 train. The inspectors took a taxi as they had missed the 9:30 train. The inspectors took a taxi as they had missed the 9:30 train. The inspectors took a taxi as they had missed the 9:30 train.
The inspectors took a taxi as they had missed 9:30 train. Had missed the 9:30 train.
Missed the 9:30 as they had missed the 9:30.
Missed
As they had missed the 9:30 train. They had missed the 9:30.
Missed the 9:30 train. Missed the 9:30 train. Missed the 9:30 train. Missed the 9:30 train. The inspectors took a taxi as they had missed the 9:30 train.
The inspectors took a taxi as they had missed the 9:30 train. The inspectors took a taxi as they had missed the 9:30 train. The inspectors took a taxi as they had missed the 9:30 train. The inspectors took a taxi as they had missed the 9:30 train. The inspectors took a taxi as they had missed the 9:30 train. The inspectors took a taxi as they had missed the 9:30 train.
The inspectors took a taxi. The inspector took a taxi as they had missed the 9:30 train. The inspector took a taxi as they had missed the 9:30 train. The inspector took a taxi as they had missed the 9:30 train. The inspectors took a taxi as they had missed the 9:30 train.
The inspectors took a taxi as they had missed the 9:30 train. The inspectors took a taxi as they had missed the 9:30 train. The inspectors took a taxi as they had missed the 9:30 train. The inspectors took a taxi as they had missed the 9:30 train.
The inspectors took a taxi as they had missed the 9:30 train. The inspectors took a taxi. The inspectors took a taxi as they had missed the 9:30 train. The inspectors took a taxi as they had missed the 9:30 train. The inspectors took a taxi as they had missed the 9:30 train. The inspectors took a taxi as they had missed the 9:30 train. The inspectors took a taxi as they had missed the 9:30 train. The inspectors took a taxi as they had missed the 9:30 train. The inspectors took a taxi as they had missed the 9:30 train. The inspectors took a taxi as they had missed the 9:30 train. The inspectors took a taxi as they had missed the 9:30 train. The inspectors took a taxi as they had missed the 9:30 train. The inspectors took a taxi as they had missed the 9:30 train. The inspectors took a taxi as they had missed the 9:30 train. The inspectors took a taxi as they had missed the 9:30 train.
The inspectors took a taxi as they had missed the 9:30 as they had missed the 9:30 as they had missed the 9:30 train. Had missed the 9:30 as they had missed the 9:30 taxi as they had missed the 9:30 as they had missed the 9:30 train.
Missed the 9:30 train. Miss. The inspectors took a taxi as they had missed the 9:30 train. The inspectors took a taxi as they had missed the 9:30 train. The inspectors took a taxi as they had missed the 9:30 train. The inspectors took a taxi as they had missed the 9:30 train. The inspectors took a taxi as they had missed the 9:30 train. The inspectors took a taxi as they had missed the 9:30 train. The inspectors took a taxi as they had missed the 9:30 train. The inspectors took a taxi as they had missed the 9:30 train. The inspectors took a taxi as they had missed the 9:30 train. The inspectors took a taxi as they had missed the 9:30 train. The inspectors took a taxi as they had missed the 9:30 train. The inspectors took a taxi as they had missed the 9:30 train. The inspectors took a taxi as they had missed the 9:30 train. The inspectors took a taxi as they had missed the 9:30 train. The inspectors took a taxi as they had missed the 9:30 train. The inspectors took a taxi as they had missed the 9:30 train. The inspectors took a taxi as they had missed the 9:30 train. The inspectors took a taxi as they had missed the 9:30 train. The inspectors took a taxi as they had missed the 9:30 train. The inspectors took a taxi as they had missed the 9:30 train. As they had missed the 9:30 train. The inspectors took a taxi as they had missed the 9:30 train. The inspectors took a taxi as they had missed the 9:30 train. The inspectors took a taxi as they had missed the 9:30 train. The inspectors took a taxi as they had missed the 9:30 train. The inspectors took a taxi as they had missed the 9:30 train. The inspectors took a taxi as they had missed the 9:30 train.
Taxi as they had missed the 9:30 train.
検査官たちは9時半の列車に乗りたちは9時半の
The 9:30 taxi as the inspectors took a taxi as they had missed the 9:30 train.
Missed the 9:30 train.